So we're runway 34 here at Papa Alpha Sierra Oscar, which is Seldovia, correct?
This is Seldovia.
So John, you were sitting behind on the takeoff and the landing.
Yep.
It was quite an interesting takeoff. I think the takeoff was more interesting than the landing for me. The energy management and everything. The landing was quite okay.
Yep.
So we're gonna replicate that in the simulator here.
Yep.
And see how we'll do. So
Yeah.
the takeoff we did with Chris was a two
notch
flap takeoff.
Yep. Yeah,
high performance.
Yep. And I'm very familiar with it as well. Not very, but I mean, I did it 3 years ago when I came up here, and so absolutely, I feel where you're coming from with the nose wheel coming off the ground.
Yeah.
Staying in ground effect, kind of going out to the right, and then going through that, I'll call gap in the trees.
That's correct.
And yeah, I thought you did the takeoff well, and yeah, we'll go ahead and do it again here.
So what we'll do now is we'll take off runway 34. We'll start climbing to 1,000 feet, something like that.
Yep.
And then we will replicate the actual landing, which was a
kind of
left downwind,
Yep.
left pattern, downwind, and then base and final.
Yep.
Perfect. So everything looks good. We have the mixture, flaps 2, fuel selector is in both. We have carburetor heat off, parking brake is off. Everything looks nice. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna tap the brakes for a second. Max RPM, release brakes. A little bit of a right rub there. Compass. Everything looks on the green. Airspeed is alive. And we're gonna do exactly what we did, which is we're gonna take off with ground effect.
Yep.
Wow, look at this. And then here we turn a little bit to the right.
Give yourself one more distance there. Yep.
And then
Right through there.
through
Right there.
that
Right
exact
there.
the gap is exactly like that.
There you go. Beautiful.
Maybe some more trees in reality, but exactly like that. And then we started getting more energy.
Yep.
And then once we have some airspeed build up, which more or less it was 80 knots if I remember,
Yep.
we started putting those flaps up,
Beautiful.
and then we have good speed, so flaps
Yep.
completely up, landing off, and we're gonna continue
There you go.
climbing on a 90 knot climb to 1,000 feet.
Yep. So I think something very interesting here with the instructor station is how seamless it works. It's very easy. As you can see, Oscar's airspeed indicator is frozen at 87 knots. So at failure, it was very easy to just add in an airspeed indicator failure.
You actually did. I saw.
See him?
Yeah,
It's
I.
one simple click and you can turn it back off,
Okay,
and he's got his airspeed back.
super.
Right, very simple.
So
Very
shall
seamless.
we show some of these?
1,000 feet. There you go.
Shall we show some of these failures while we actually turn around
Yeah,
for landing?
Absolutely.
So you just did that. I of course didn't see. Oh, I actually wasn't checking on that. I was checking on the flight plan. So
Right,
that's very
right.
interesting for students to learn. They need to always be very observative on everything. You know, speed, altitude. I see the airspeed is again frozen. I don't know if you did that.
Airspeed's frozen. The
Right.
altitude's frozen.
Altitude is frozen
You
too.
can honestly have a lot of fun with this. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, there are just all sorts of failures that you can put here,
Yeah.
and I mean, there's the whole electrical system right
Okay,
there.
whole electrical system. So I would be
Right. So now-
completely BFR. I mean, not BFR, like
I mean, VFR, but four
yeah,
flight.
BFR. Yeah, exactly. I would
VFR plus four flight.
turn to four flight here, and I would just look outside and try and
Absolutely.
maintain that airspeed and that altitude.
Yeah, I mean, this is where four flight is really coming in and giving you a good level of backup and redundancy.
I would also have
You know what
here
you're using.
my backup instruments.
Not unless I.
Nevertheless,
Yeah, I think I took care of that though.
you took care of that as
I
well.
failed that as
Okay,
well. So, I
so
mean,
I'm blind at the
you're
moment.
basically blind. But
Okay, sounds good.
Oscar would obviously be very quick at diagnosing the systems here, and hopefully he can bring everything back to life.
Super.
But really quite nice in terms of the user functionality of the instructor station here. All right, so if you remember on the approach here, remember the trees were part of the target, kind of that island.
Yeah. So what we did, yeah. So I remember perfectly that figure there,
Yep.
kind of that entry where the where all the harbor is.
Sweet.
And so we actually needed to follow that small river into runway 34, so it's exactly like reality.
Yep.
And I'm gonna do that exact entry there.
Awesome.
I'm gonna start reducing the power and just descending. It's amazing to be able to do that before and after the real flight,
Yeah.
to kind of forecast what you're gonna see. And debrief then if you've actually done it in real life. That's amazing.
Harbor over there as well.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm gonna start bringing the airspeed back to 90. I'm gonna put a notch of flaps in and start turning base to runway 34.
500.
So I'll maintain those 80 knots here. I remember Chris was very much into maintaining that airspeed and that energy on final, especially these finals where you have these turns and you have kind of a slight and tight entry, right? So here is the river we were following.
Yep.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Second notch of flaps in. Okay, and here we are. Final 3-4. I have energy. I feel the energy. Okay, we're down.
Nice.
Perfect. Great. Great. Very similar to the real thing, of course. Very, very similar. I'm gonna turn around here to go to the platform area.
Yep.
Remember, we saw some Cessnas there. We saw the what's the airline that flies here? Beyond
Oh,
Besmont.
no, not Sky Harbor. Smoky Bear.
Smoky Bay.
Smoky Bay. Smoky Bay.
Smoky Bear.
Smoky Bear.
So we saw
Smoky Bay.
Smoky Bay enter here. Some helicopters as well.
That was pretty cool.
And the mountain there, the
Yeah.
backdrop is exactly the same.
Yeah. And you just hear the reverberating. I mean, it's kind of this valley, right? So you just hear the reverberating
Yeah,
engine sound.
yeah, the typical Alaska sound.
It just sounds amazing.
Seldovia. Well, welcome to Seldovia here, guys. I think that was a great comparison to the real landing we did. I really enjoyed that, to be honest. And Seldovia's seeing Seldovia, the actual town, was amazing. You only have opportunity to do that if you go by plane or by boat. And doing that with Chris and John was super fun. So we arrived here, and until
you got
then,
some friends over there on the left side by the
I
snowplows,
do.
huh?
Perfect. Okay, here we are.
Go talk to them.
Super.
Cool. Nice job.
Okay, make sure of.
That was good.
And as Chris says, until then, until the next video, throttle on.